I'm Syafzan Johari and this is Agenda AWANI. We're recording this special episode in conjunction of the next Big Tech Asia 2017 here in Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre. Well, we talk about big data and of course, among other things that substitute big data, the Internet of Things, is the smart city. So in Germany, under the initiative of German Ministry of Education and Research, they have come up with this idea, the City of Tomorrow initiative, where they have like the best minds of Germany to come together in order not just to plan but to build the City of Tomorrow. Here with me, two most important people from the City of Tomorrow initiative is Dr. Dirk Schwidi and Dr. Stephen Barkey. All right, welcome to our mini studio in KLCC.
Thanks for having us here.
All right. First and foremost, let's talk about, give us a macro brief about what is City of Tomorrow initiative and what are you, or rather what would the government of Germany try and achieve from this initiative, Doctor?
Yeah, the initiative Building the City of Tomorrow is funded by the Ministry of Education and Research in Germany, and we have the objective to make the achievements of our research landscape in Germany known to people and colleagues worldwide, and also to practitioners, and to show what solutions have been developed at the universities, at the research institutions, but also at progressive companies from the industry, so that this important topic of urban development, of improving the quality of life in the cities, is addressed based on knowledge development, based on research, and there are some solutions we have developed. We are here with or representing a consortium of 10 researcher groups which address different topics in this field, and there are colleagues who address traffic, then there are colleagues who have solutions for planning, others have special developments for new building typologies, which could be a solution for future urban development, especially in countries like Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia.
Maybe can you give us a bit of context? What is the main urbanization problems in Germany, and are those problems universal and can be related to other countries, including us in Malaysia?
I think there are different components coming together here. We have things in common, like even if they come in different ways to us. So climate change is something very obvious. We are globally dealing with the effects of climate change, and that is not only rising temperatures, which for cities mean that they should become greener, because having parks, having green and blue infrastructures helps you to cool down the city a little bit more. But it's also more extreme events that are associated with global climate change, and we need to be prepared for that. That's a question of resilience of the cities that need to be considered, and that is something that strikes us in the same way. Where we are separate is a bit about the population development, whereas Eastern Asia is growing fast, and it's impressive as we are here seeing all the building taking place. In Germany you have rather you have migration as a key driver of population movement, but as a whole the population is getting older, and we are actually getting fewer in many parts of the country. We have some towns, the major towns, that are still increasing, and where we are looking for options to have denser population, which still is green enough. So bringing those two components together is our challenge. And I think that becoming denser but still green is a major challenge that can be addressed in many parts of the world, and is very interesting to address.
Dirk, you came in as an engineer.
Yes.
In fact, you had your own firm. And
as well,
of course,
yes, yeah.
You also actively involved in the academic world. the kind of solution, I mean, Germany, I know, is the most highly advanced in terms of technology and engineering, but I just wonder the kind of new solution that you brought to the table.
I think it's important to understand that we are, let's say, very advanced in many fields in Germany in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of renewable energy applications. But my research and also my praxis shows that we have to be very careful to adapt it to the situation in the places we want to apply the solutions. So I have been working in China, I've been working in Vietnam, in Indonesia, so in this region here, and it's not so easy to just take the technology which is implemented in Germany. We have a heating climate, we have different situations, to use it here and then to be energy efficient. So we have to do research, we have to develop these solutions further. Also with the colleagues here, we are here also to create networks with researchers here, with practitioners here, to make known what we are doing, to have this exchange, to develop feasible solutions and beneficial solutions for cities in also this region. And this is
maybe we could get a kind of preview or kind of sneak peek of what the kind of research that you do for the initiative.
For the initiative, my special project is on integrated design. So how to improve the design process for buildings in order to achieve better qualities. We want to engage many stakeholders when we build buildings. That is not only the investor and the designer, the architect, but also perhaps building users, building occupants, in order to understand what functions do we need to provide in the buildings. And by understanding which functions we need to provide, we understand which technical solutions we need to implement, and then we get a more demand-oriented outcome, and we get a more future-proof outcome, a building which provides the functions which are needed, and then we have a more sustainable built environment afterwards. And this is basically what we are promoting. So it's another aspect is also that sustainable building is not only about technology, how it is applied, but also a lot on the design and the expertise of the engineers, of the architects, that there is evaluation of technical solutions if they are appropriate for the problem we want to solve. So it's not only this hard fact of technology, but also this more softer aspects of good architecture and good engineering.
So to understand the rather, you were saying, the softer knowledge, yes. Instead of just focusing on newer advanced technology, but sometimes the old technology are still relevant. Sure, and for instance, the wheel that we use for the cars we drive today, right. The kind of wheel, the same wheel that was found many hundred years ago.
True.
All right. But I would like to raise this issue. In your initiative, you used a lot of big data to come up with insights and solutions. Maybe we can talk more about that in the next block. Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to take a short break, and don't go away, we'll come back. Welcome back to Agenda AWANI. I'm still with these two very important gentlemen from the City of Tomorrow initiative, which is led by the German Ministry of Education and Research. Well, Stefan, you are a city planner, and you came into the project. You came into the group and suggesting maybe trying to come up with solutions for planning and planning a neighborhood, city or town planning rather. What have you achieved so far?
You know, actually, I'm economist by background, and we have been working in very interdisciplinary projects. So we early on realized in our work, which started on contaminated land regeneration. In Europe, we have a history, we have a legacy of industrialization, and in particular in Germany, after the German reunification, we had about half the country lacking under a very unmodern system, to say it frankly. And half of that country faced the need to do something for the environment, but also for the people, and to refurbish the cities. So we, at that point...
So you have all kind of cities and the newer, more advanced cities.
Yes, indeed. So in the mid-90s, we were just urged to do something, and I think in that time it gave a push to the German area of rethinking how can we actually do that, which materials can be used, how can we build, and now you find very modern parts, also in Berlin, like Potsdamer Platz. Some of you might know it as one of the architectural sites, but also a way on how to actually reuse in an efficient, in an ecologic, but also in a smart way, the infrastructures that we have available, and how to bring those together in a way that are still environmentally friendly and that are also socially accepted. In Germany, we have a lot of discussion making the cities more environmentally friendly does also raise the costs for living there. It increases the rents, and those people who are owning the houses, they're happy about it. But in Germany, a lot of people are renting the places. So they face the problem that we call gentrification. So an aspect that people can actually no longer afford these rising rents and are forced to move somewhere else. And this depends on the environmental situation. It depends on many other factors. And if you now come to the link to the data, to the smart city link that we are here for, we actually also as scientists need to know better what the situation is. We need to understand what is happening there. That is also with regard to mobility, for example. To being able to understand things, we usually start by observing them, and we then call it monitoring. And for that, we need to collect data. We need to handle a lot of data. And that makes it very interesting for us to come here and to learn from your experiences in this conference from the participants.
So your research basically, there's a lot of data in your research, of course. And what kind of data do you actually apply? I mean, do you share in mind and apply it?
So in our case, if I just continue what I started with, it's on the social end. It's something like about what are the average incomes of the people, what are they working. Then it comes to when we know about where they are living. It's about the size of their flats, for example, which is monitored because the bigger they are, the bigger we would say the footprint of them is. The higher the resource use is. You need more electricity, more heat to provide for bigger flats. So we are monitoring that. And then it's with the mobility, it's about the ways that people are taking, the means of transport they are using. Are they going by public transport? Are they using by bike? So cycling is very increasingly recognized or appreciated in German towns. And that in turn needs to be supported by the municipality. So we need to have integrated plans in the neighborhood that actually facilitate or enable using those more environmentally friendly means of cooperation, of transport.
How about you, Dirk? I mean, there's a lot of data applied in your research as well, right?
In the field I'm working, of course, yes. We have this success story of the energy transformation where we basically try to exchange the traditional way of generating energy in a more decentralized way, in a more distributed way, and also in a way that is more integrated into our cities. So we have solar photovoltaic systems on the roofs now, and these are smaller units, and so we have to understand better how much energy is produced and also how much energy is consumed in the building. And additional to that, we have the objective to reduce the energy consumption in the complete building stock by 80% to 2050, and to manage all this energy consumption in the building stock, energy production distributed in the city, and also from renewable sources. All this data needs to be managed, and this is part of the research we are doing. Also, one of our partners in our consortium, Building the City of Tomorrow, is exactly concerned with this, to model cityscape and to understand how the energy flows are there. And this is a big data topic, of course, yes.
And urbanization is, of course, a huge challenge for all the cities in the world. And on top of that, we also have challenges like depletion of natural resources.
Sure.
And we're also embracing renewable technology, renewable energy. In certain countries, the government has decided to stop the usage of the nuclear power generation. So this poses, another huge challenges to government and countries. So maybe we can touch on those issues in the next block. Good. All right, don't go away. Welcome back to Agenda AWANI. I'm still with Dr. Dirk Schwedi and Dr. Stefan Baki from the City of Tomorrow initiative. Going straight to Dirk, you mentioned something about power, and a lot of European countries, for instance, your country in Germany, will be phasing out the nuclear power generation and also coal generator as well. And this poses another challenge to countries. What kind of solution that we can, come up with to ensure power? Power is very important. I need power. I need something to actually power up my phone all the time, at least. And how to make it not just sustainable but affordable.
There has been a very impressive development in the prices for renewable energy sources, and when we started with energy transformation in Germany and also other countries in Europe and now in other countries around the world, I think the technology was very costly, very expensive, and then there were some political frameworks and policy frameworks to support the development. But now in Germany, with the German energy prices, renewable energy is competitive, and it's also a smart way to invest money. So it has gone through a development which makes it feasible and which makes it also in many places affordable. The challenge is, of course, not only because we want to phase out nuclear power, and we are thinking how to deal with coal in future. I think our objective is also to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions in Germany. We have very ambitious objectives in this field, and that's why we have to further work on the improvement of the efficiency of buildings, improvement of efficiency of industry, of traffic, of course. This is also a sector which is very important for that. And then we have the objective to increase the contribution of renewable sources. Wind is very strong in Germany. Solar power is very strong, and solar power also means that we have to integrate it into the building stock somehow. And because we have all the roofs, and so the architecture and the energy generation, this is more and more integrated, and we have to find solutions for that.
So this can be done.
This can be done, yeah. We have buildings now which produce more energy than they consume. First we had small buildings. Now in Frankfurt we have a 7-story building, which is a large building for German situation, a 7-story building which is able to produce more energy than it consumes. And I have made some study for other climates in China. We can build these buildings up to 6-7 levels, and it can be
generate enough power to all the households.
Oh yes, yes. When it's connected to the grid, when we and then the annual balance can be achieved. So I think there is a lot of potential, and we have to work on that. We have to develop the solutions. We have to adapt it to the climate at the place, and then I think there is some development possible also in other places.
Another challenge posed by rapidly developed economies, like for instance Malaysia, the scarcity of land. You see in big cities like Kuala Lumpur, Penang, you've made the mayor of Penang, there are issues about scarcities, there are issues about housing problems, you know, yeah. So this kind of issue might be different from, let's say, European countries, but do you have like maybe short-term solution to that you can put on the table?
I think short-term is a real challenge, but I think as you're evolving, as you're a rapidly emerging country, it is important to not continue our mistakes that we have done in the more developed countries. Right. So to spread out, to have an unguided suburbanization, and to have municipalities in strong competition with one another. So even if you say and you are right, it is of course completely different environments. We still today have similar problems in Germany. We have, despite a shrinking population, we have cities that are growing. And the reason for that is that the communities are competing. They are competing for tax revenues. They look for new investors coming to their sites. And for that, they are offering land. They are sealing it, the ecosystem services, as we call the fruits that nature provides to the people. They are, by that act of sealing land, they are destroyed to about, let's say, for the next 80 years, because it takes so long for 1 inch of soil to recover. And this is a real problem that we are just getting aware all over Europe, and I would be more happy if more countries sooner than later understood how precious just the arable countryside, the pristine countryside or the rainforests are. They are locally for the local climate, but they are also globally, referring back to what we discussed, to the global climate change, which we try to adapt to and try to mitigate in as far as we are possible to do that. And they are different if you now come to the solutions that we can offer. In Germany, we are, for example, at the moment implementing a tradable permit scheme. So you might know that from greenhouse gas emissions, there is a market for that in Europe, and it has the result that those companies for whom it is very cheap to avoid greenhouse gases, they will invest the money in doing so, because then they get very easily those permissions which they can sell to other companies. So they can actually make a profit by saving greenhouse gases. And the same idea we do have for land use, land consumption. We want that it's only possible to consume land if there is, if you have a permission for that from the central government, for example. And only those communities who are buying those are allowed to build. And the distribution is like in a free market. So what is the result in the free market? Only the one who really needs it most will be able to buy it. So that's one of the ideas, and it's currently being
sometimes these ideas aren't have to be highly technological advancement. Sometimes it has to be political will.
It's very often about, it's most often about stakeholders. And in the decision levels in the countries, it is of course also the political will that is important, and making actually the change between very progressive cities, like if the mayor of Penang is coming to this conference, is looking at what smart cities challenges in the world are and can learn from it, it can make a difference to those who are just waiting and seeing what is happening.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for sharing your insight with us here in Malaysia. That was Dr. Dirk Schwede and Dr. Stefan Bake. They are from the City of Tomorrow initiative, an initiative led by the German Ministry of Education and Research. This special episode of AWANI was recorded in conjunction of Next Big Tech Asia 2017. I'm Shafizan Johari signing off. Good night.